This weekend is going to be absolutely outstanding with 8 Sweet 16 games to look forward to. So let's pick them all. Starting with the Saturday matchups, Oregon State versus Loyola Chicago. Oregon State destroying teams, but Loyola Chicago, they're not a real 8 seed. They're a machine. Give me Porter Moser's team by double digits. Villanova versus Baylor. Jay Wright's team, incredible in the first 2 rounds, but this is where No Gillespie catches up. Baylor wins big. Oral Roberts versus Arkansas, and I know that Oral Roberts is here as a 15, but are they actually any good? Eric Musselman's team wins by 2 touchdowns. Syracuse versus Houston. Kelvin Sampson's team, excellent on defense and rebounding, but they didn't play well against Rutgers. My Orange on fire. Buddy Bucket's on fire. He can't miss. Syracuse wins outright. To the Sunday games, Creighton versus Gonzaga. Zags, best team in the tournament, bar none. 25 straight wins by double digits, a Division I record. It's going to happen again. Florida State versus Michigan. That's the game of the Sweet 16. The spread, Michigan by 2.5. So give me Juwan Howard's team by 3. UCLA versus Alabama. I think the Bruins are going to keep it within the 6.5, but Nate Oates' team does get the victory. Oregon versus USC, going to be sensational. Give me Oregon to win a tight one. You can call Porter Moser's team many, many things, but not Cinderella. Don't let the conference fool you, or the fact that the committee made a mistake and seated them as an 8. Don't let Sister Jane hog all the headlines. Loyola Chicago is a great, dominant basketball team that just punched a piping hot Illinois squad in the face. Loyola Chicago is on fire, and without question, the team to beat in the busted Midwest bracket. Now, Oregon State is playing great, but why would I ever take them over Loyola Chicago? Porter Moser is a superb coach. They are a deep and talented team, and they have the ability to score in waves. Syracuse basketball coach Jim Boeheim told me on my SiriusXM radio show this week that he thinks that Loyola Chicago has been the best team in the first 2 rounds of the tournament. I mean, they have been absolutely positively unreal. Now, I wouldn't say they're the best, as earlier this week I said the 4 best teams left, Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, and Alabama, and I'd put it in that order, but Porter Moser's team is next. This isn't some rags to riches story. Loyola Chicago is now expected to get to the Final Four. You have to love Leonard Hamilton. The Florida State basketball coach was outstanding on my SiriusXM radio show. And listen, you guys know I think he's an exceptional ball coach. I think he's a Hall of Famer, and yet still somehow underrated. He hasn't won that championship. And if you downgrade Leonard Hamilton for that, I think that's crazy. I think Florida State, I personally believe this, in the Sweet 16 is a great accomplishment, but Leonard Hamilton didn't want to hear any of that. For Florida State, it's about winning a championship, something they could have done easily if there was an NCAA tournament last year. Florida State pounded Colorado. They were dominant late. And remember, this is a Florida State team, as Hamilton told me, that was banged up all season long and still won a ton of games. He loves this group. He loves the leadership. And the matchup with Juwan Howard and Michigan, boy, that is going to be tough in the Sweet 16. That is the best Sweet 16 game without question. But Hamilton has already done a brilliant job with this team, which shouldn't, at the end of the day, be a surprise to anyone. Let's start with the Denver Nuggets, who made a huge splash acquiring Aaron Gordon at the trade deadline. Love or loathe Denver's moves? Absolutely love. I really thought this was an A-plus day for the Denver Nuggets. They needed another scorer, and I love Gordon. He's a bucket, 38% from 3. This is a guy who's been a great player for Steve Clifford and the Magic. I love watching him play. Tremendous offensive ball player who's going to complement Big Honey incredibly well and Jamal Murray incredibly well. And this was a great day at the office for Denver. I thought it was absolutely excellent. And look, I know Hampton has talent and they give up a pick, but who cares? They're trying to win a championship, and this gets them closer. And even getting JaVale McGee, I thought was a really good move. Obviously, this cat has won rings. He understands how to play a role as a big man in the middle. Absolutely love what the Denver Nuggets have done at the trade deadline. Phenomenal job by Denver. A true deadline deal was Victor Oladipo shipped off to Miami for a couple of players and a pick literally right at the deadline. Love or loathe Houston's return for Oladipo? I despise it. I loathe it. I can't stand it. It's a flat-out embarrassment. The Houston Rockets have become one of the worst organizations in sports. Now, listen, Oladipo has been a bit of a diva, a bit of a dog. Our friend Bob Kravitz from The Athletic, he destroyed him at the end in Indianapolis, and he was terrible with the Pacers and then with the Rockets. He was awful, shooting 40%. That was his second lowest percentage from the field in his career. But look at the compensation. Now, they offered him a contract, the Rockets did. They offered him a contract. He turned it down. He's going to be a free agent. Avery Bradley? Kelly Olynyk? Are we trying? And remember, they got Oladipo in the three-team deal in the James Harden trade. And they could have had Allen and LeVert. I mean, do they know which way was up? And look, it all comes back to James Harden holding the team hostage, being roly-poly and out of shape. And another reason why I don't want to hear about James Harden for NBA MVP. It all ties in here, but my goodness, that's the trade compensation for Victor Oladipo? Baggins. Houston, you've got a problem. How about the Chicago Bulls kicking off the day by acquiring All-Star center Nikola Vucevic from the Orlando Magic? Oh, I am in love. If you are a fan of the Chicago Bulls, you got to be dancing in the street. Vucevic is a true star. Never gets the credit because he's playing in Orlando. One of four players in the NBA this year averaging 24 points per game and 10 rebounds per game. The other three, Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know Wendell Carter Jr. is young. In a related story, I don't care. The Bulls are relevant. When they're relevant, that's great for Chicago. It's great for the NBA. They're going for it. And by the way, Billy Donovan, I think he's a tremendous coach. I love the culture there now. Zach LaVine and Vucevic as a 1-2 punch. I love it. Color me impressed. Phenomenal job by the Chicago Bulls. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you fire the old executives, and you look at what happened with Paxton for all those years, and, Gar was terrible. It was a mess. Great day to be a fan now of the Chicago Bulls. Some more moves to look at. Love or loathe, the Celtics at the deadline, headlined by trading for Evan Fournier from the Orlando Magic. Listen, I despise what the Celtics are doing. And it's about today, but it's also a broader comment. I mean, Fournier's having an excellent year, career year in terms of points and threes. Boston is average in both categories, but, this is not the replacement for Gordon Hayward, and he's not going to solve everything that ails this reeling basketball team. I mean, the Celtics, I don't worry about the comeback super late against Milwaukee last night. Boston stinks. Boston was a no-show last night, embarrassed itself against the Milwaukee Bucks. They're a couple games under 500. You can't trust them. Honestly, I blame Danny Ainge. He had all those picks, and how many times through the years on Time to Shine did we beg Danny Ainge, take the picks, trade for a star, go for the jugular. That's how you win championships in the NBA. Just a terrible job at the deadline. Terrible job for years. Bad job here by Danny Ainge. I can't stand it. How about the Sixers? They acquired George Hill from the Thunder in a 3-team deal. Love or loathe the Sixers at the deadline. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I like it. It's not love. It's not loathe. I think this is a positive. George Hill has been around the block. He knows what it takes to win. And, obviously he's a savvy vet. And, he's shooting 50% from the field the last couple of seasons. He's a floor general. I just wish they would have found a way to bring Kyle Lowry home, Philly guy, Nova guy. That would have really been a difference maker. It's a good move. I like it. It's something nice for Philly. I just don't think I could say I love it. A guard from the Raptors did in fact get traded, with Portland acquiring Norman Powell. Love or loathe the Blazers at the deadline. I love it. Don't sleep on Powell and what he could mean for Portland. I love what Portland did, just like I love what Denver did. These teams in the West are really making moves here. Powell has more 30-point games this season, 6, than in the first 5 seasons combined, 4. I mean, this guy, the confidence level is great. Obviously, he's going to be a role player with Portland, and I think he'll fit in perfectly with Dame, with C.J. McCollum. I absolutely love what the Portland Trailblazers were able to do.